Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
You're playing a dangerous game, taking a big sip of water before I launch into my cold open. Well, you don't think I could make you do a spit take?
I think you could. I dare you to make me spit take.
Alex, a shocking expose was released today about the New York Mets and their clubhouse culture. No, this expose was not reported in the New York Times. In the crooked
because they don't
New
cover
York
sports
Times
anymore.
No, it was not reported in the New York Times' The Athletic.
Uh-huh.
Don't forget the second the. The New York Times is The Athletic. One is the, one is the. No, it was not reported in the New York Post sports section. The New York Daily News. It wasn't reported by our friends over at Fangraphs. Wasn't reported by our good friend Matthew Robertson over at GQ. None of these hack legacy media print people were bold enough to report this story. But you know who was? The one man that they can't take down because he's too powerful. DePope. Mike Francesa.
This man's a scoop machine. Every time he goes on air, I'm like, what is he going to say next? What is he going to regale us with?
Are you familiar with the locker room issues report expose from Mike Francesa? Did you see this?
Yeah, it hasn't locked in years. Nah, 2 out of 10.
I don't even get it. Wait, can you explain it to me? You walk me through it? I didn't even get that one.
It's a locker. It's a locker room.
Oh,
but like it's.
But they haven't locked the rooms.
They haven't locked the rooms.
Okay.
Just tell me what he said is far more entertaining than what I'm saying. Right?
So wait, straight up, do you know what this is or do you not?
No, I do. I did watch this earlier when you tweeted about it. Sorry.
Damn it. You're back on XD Everything app. So you see, I can't just tweet willy-nilly about stuff that I want to cold open the podcast.
No, you can't. You got to be selective.
Okay, but for our wonderful listeners at home, here's what Mike Francesa had to say about the discomforting vibe in the New York Mets locker room.
My understanding is that Lindor and Soto was never a buddy. It was never Soto and Judge. Soto loved Judge. Judge went out of his way to treat Soto very well in every way. He was a wonderful teammate. Soto loved Judge. And my understanding is Lindor and Soto got off on the wrong foot when Lindor did not call him and welcome him to the team. But it was never that they couldn't play together or anything major. The Nimmo Lindor thing, my understanding, was political. Had to do with Trump. One side liked Trump, one side didn't like Trump. So Trump splitting up between Nimmo and Lindor. That's my understanding. It started over Trump. As crazy as that sounds. Crazier things have happened.
Hang on, which side do you think is which?
I don't know, but can you tell me what his understanding is? Because he wasn't being clear to me in that clip about what his understanding was of the situation. That's a really good way to like get out of having to source anything or back up anything with that. Just my understanding from conversations.
Yeah, it's perfect cover. It's perfect rhetorical cover.
Yeah,
because you could be totally wrong, which would be like, that's how I understood it.
Right, you were like, that was just my understanding. I'm not saying these are the facts. I'm just giving you my perspective.
My understanding is a really good phrase to use at work. When someone asks you a question and you don't quite know the answer, you'd be like, well, my understanding of how it works is this. Or if you need to, here's another use case for it. If you need to correct someone and you're like, hang on, my understanding of how this worked was X, like you're kind of being polite about correcting them. You don't say like, oh, you're wrong. You're like, my understanding of this was this.
Right. With the implication being that my understanding could be dumb and wrong. But all that to say, in this case, I think his understanding is spot on. At least that's my understanding.
My understanding of your understanding is that you are too trusting. I feel like Nimmo and Lindor got along just fine.
Yeah.
Do you remember on the podcast?
Would you say they put politics aside?
You could even
in service
maybe
of a
even say
greater
they
good.
reached across the aisle. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They reached across the diamond. Do you remember on the podcast like a year ago when they signed Soto? And I like did a whole bit about how the reason that Soto signed with the Mets because he's a secret lib, and Katia Lindor is rounding up all the libs in MLB and having them sign with the Mets.
Do I remember a bit you did a year ago? Absolutely not. But it's really funny now because I forgot about it.
Dude, it's like, that's actually kind of a freeing way to go about life. It's never remembering anything and getting to experience it all for the first time.
It's awesome. It's
I was going to say, it's like my bits don't matter to you at all, Alex.
No, they matter more than anything.
You don't remember the anniversary of my Katia Lindor secret lib bit? What the fuck, dude?
Not even secret these days.
This is kind of the perfect thing to say on the radio. You don't ever have to come back to it. You don't have to defend it.
No.
No one's going to care that you said it. But this clip is amazing. Particularly the part where he chuckles to himself and he's like, and it was over Trump.
He's so tickled.
He's like, people have been mad about smaller things.
He's still got it, folks. Do you think he and Freddie get his teeth from the same guy?
Come on, bro. Don't fuck up the bag, dude. We could be getting a sponsorship from Freddie Freeman's dentist.
I want
Dentist?
Francisco.
Does a dentist put in those kinds of teeth veneers? Or is it like a plastic surgeon secretly?
I think it's like a creative dentist, right? It's like,
right. It's a creative dentist.
But like,
is that like kind of how Bryce Harper had a creative doctor circulate his blood last week? What is a creative dentist? What is that?
I don't know. My doctor is creative dentistry. My dentist is creative dentistry, and I go there, and everyone has pearly white teeth, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not.
I can't tell if you're being serious right now. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Is it the name of your dentist? Is creative dentistry?
Yes.
That's the name of the LLC, Creative Dentistry LLC.
I don't know.
Or that's the type of dentistry. I don't even know what you're saying.
That is the name of the dentist. It's like, I can't remember the dentist's name, but it's like Dr. So-and-so's Creative Dentistry.
I think that's just one place that you go to. Like, that's just Creative Dentistry in Brooklyn Heights. Like,
No,
I don't think that's a
the
type of dentistry. What are you on about? What? Who puts in veneers? A Google search reveals
A creative dentist.
a licensed dentist, ideally a cosmetic dentist. Is the C word you're looking for, Alex? Cosmetic and not creative. Like, what? I've never heard that. Creative dentist.
To be honest, I don't know that I want a creative dentist.
You're the only one who knows what a creative dentist is, so you don't have to worry about it because it's not real.
But that's what my dentist calls themselves. I don't know how to explain this.
Okay, wait. I know this is like most of the time we're like, oh, this is such a funny tangent. We're going on a tangent. Oh, we're on a podcast here. But like, this is a tangent that I feel is really important. So you stand up from your home. You walk down 4 flights of stairs because you live in a New York City walk up. You go outside. However you get to your dentist, you get on the 2 train, I assume. You go to downtown Brooklyn and you get out and you walk to the dentist. You walk to the dentist, you check in, you say, hi, my name's Alex. They're like, great, Alex, it's good to see you.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to creative dentistry.
Okay, welcome to creative dentistry. That's
I feel
one.
bad. I'm like slandering a small business right here.
Slandering? I think this sounds a lot like free advertising.
That's
so you sit down in the lobby, whatever. They come, they call you in, they bring you in, and they sit you down in the chair, and then your dentist walks in and says, "Hi, Alex. It's time to do some creative dentistry on you."
And I say, "Hi, Dr. Bellafiora." That's his name.
Wow, A paisan.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Maybe I need to go to your dentist.
You need to go to my dentist. He's
hooking it up.
He's a dude.
Does he oxidate your blood?
Yeah, with extra virgin olive oil.
No, I actually really like my dentist. She's quite kind. She makes me feel calm. I'm afraid of the dentist a little bit, and she's pretty nice. I've gone to the dentist 5 times this year, and I'm just starting.
5 times?
Yeah, bro. It was.
Are you okay?
They had to get really creative with it.
They said, and we're making this one a swirl, and this one a star. We're putting watercolor on this one.
Mike Francesa. For people who don't understand, like who don't know who Mike Francesa is or don't know what he looks like, they're probably so lost as to how we made the jump from Francesa to Freeman to veneers so fast.
But they're like right there when you see him. When you see
he has really big veneers. That's the link back to Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor having a fallout over Donald Trump, who also has veneers. They all have veneers. But none of their veneers are quite as intense as Joe Biden's veneers. And for those keeping track at home, that's the same Joe Biden that me and Alex went to his rest stop in Delaware years ago. So this is all the lore that
Biden, the Joe Biden from the Joe Biden Memorial Rest Stop. It's not a memorial. I know.
But I don't know why for years I called it the Joe Biden Memorial Rest Stop. Like we don't need to remember him. He was president still. Oh boy. Probably one of our worst but also best cold opens ever. I'm really excited for the rest of the podcast.
Really bizarre start, frankly.
Well, also like we're recording this on Tuesday night, which is when we would usually record a Patreon episode. And for people listening at home, it took us like 30 minutes to record this because of a series of unfortunate events.
It's true.
That interrupted recording the 3 different times.
I do not envy you editing all this together. But I appreciate it.
These are easy cuts. You just make one big cut of all the silence. But we have to
there you go.
Figure something else out.
Make one big cut of the whole cold open. What do we got on tap today?
Is this a photo of your dentist that you just sent me?
Yeah, in case you wanted the context.
He's wearing like a $40,000 watch. He's getting real creative with your dentistry. This is the guy. Does he wear this watch when he works on you?
Maybe it's a dereliction of my duty. I haven't noticed. But next time I'm there.
I have so many questions. I haven't had this many questions about something in your life since I found out that you were in a Fall Out Boy fan page in middle school. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
More feelings on the New York Mets, of course. The hot stove, whatever that means. And then what I'm calling a bunch of tipping pitches shit, which is a series of stories pretty much only you and I care about.
Yep.
To this extent, which is the fun stuff.
That's what you tune in for.
But before we get to all of that, I am Bobby Wagner.
I am Alex Baisley.
You are listening to Tipping Pitches, a creative dentistry podcast. Okay, thank you to this week's new patrons. I bet you're really happy that you're the official sponsor of this cold open. Those new patrons are Dads FM, Ethan, Tom, Riley, Max, Neil, Christopher, Dennis, or Denis. I'm not sure. I apologize, Denis / Dennis. 1N. Yes. I almost thought you said 1S. And I was like, how would there be 2 S's? Dennis. Denis? Dennis? I don't know. Thank you for your support. Melanie, Ben, Anthony, Connor, Happy Go Lucky, Chris, Dylan, Robbie, Will, Riley, Jerome, Kayla, Rick, Matthew, Owen, Elizabeth, Dingus Dongus 411, Jack, Aya, Jimmy, Ben, David, Adam, Ron DeCentrist. I'm just going to keep powering through. Steven and Emmy. Wow, Alex, a lot of new patrons. I wonder if that's because we made the Patreon $1 for the first month. If you sign up, that sale is still going on. Head over to patreon.com/tippingpitches and use code GRIEF, GRIEF, grief.
Mm-hmm.
That was because I
that's-
was sad that Pete Alonso and Edwin Díaz left the Mets.
And to be clear, that gets you access to the Patreon, which is the unhinged version of Tipping Pitches, as opposed to the public feed, in which we generally try and keep it on the straight and narrow. You know,
We
keep it buttoned up.
We keep our ties tight
Exactly.
over here on the main feed. But on Patreon,
I adjusted my non-existent tie when I said straight and narrow. I think I was.
you don't have to make it seem like you're being more casual. You're wearing a 3-piece suit like Jordan Peterson does when we record the podcast.
Like I always do, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the Vimeo viewers know this.
Exactly. And that's what you get on the Patreon. Thank you. Natural plug. You get access to 2 bonus episodes a month. And you also get secret access to a private Vimeo feed of the entire back catalog, video recordings of every episode we've ever done. Ever. And we're actually in negotiations to sell those video rights to Netflix as well. It's not just The Ringer and it's not just iHeart. We're sort of talking about maybe selling the back catalog to Netflix, but MLB TV really wants them too. So, we're just trying to keep both irons in the fire or whatever. I don't know.
Both hands in the cookie jar. 2 feet in the door.
Both hands in the cookie jar. I heard someone talking. I heard Mike Schur on Pablo Torre's podcast talking about how up until the 1980s, it was illegal to self-deal if you were a studio or television channel, TV station. Like if you were a broadcaster, you couldn't also produce the content that went on your airwaves because there was a law against it. And he used the phrase self-deal. And I was like, it was like my MK Ultra phrase. It was like, I didn't know anyone but Alex was allowed to use this phrase on a podcast. Mike Schur, pay royalties to Tipping Pitches.
Me and Mike Schur.
When's he going to come on this podcast?
I think I've only used that phrase once.
No. You're always saying self-dealing.
I'm a big self-dealer.
You love self-dealing.
I love self-dealing. I self-deal to myself all the time. I guess that would
you just create a bunch of
I guess self-dealing to myself is a little redundant, but
you create a bunch of burner email accounts and you go sign up for the Patreon, but you use our business account to pay for it. So it's just money in, money out, baby.
Juice the numbers, baby. That's perpetual motion machine.
Big revenue, big money, big money, big money.
And for some reason, we keep buying data centers. I don't know why we're doing that, but we just keep having to buy more and more and more.
Which MLB stadium that's currently up do you think is the most likely to be paved over for a data center? A's don't count because that's already that they don't play there. Neither of the A's, the Coliseum, nor the whatever health field in Sacramento. Sutter Health Park.
Probably, maybe Chase Field in Arizona.
In Arizona, yeah.
You got to go to a place where like water is already scarce, so you can use as much of it as possible. I don't know. I feel like they're usually out in like the desert somewhere, I don't know why I have that image in my head.
Probably Eddington.
Mm-hmm.
Although you definitely didn't see that movie.
No, I didn't see that. So that reference is lost on me.
To be honest, you have to watch that movie. That is like the most Alex coded movie ever made. Frankly.
Yeah, and frankly, I don't know how that makes me feel, but
you gotta fire it up. Arguably tonight. I want you to have logged it on ye old Letterbox by the time people hear this podcast.
All right. Deal.
All right. For the record, I think Chase Field is probably the best answer, but any of the Florida parks too are probably decent. Or like maybe even the Braves. They're just like, let's pave over it one more time.
Right? Why not? We're going deeper into the suburbs.
Out into the suburbs. Yeah, exactly. They're playing in a mountain somewhere. They have to fly everyone in by helicopter to come to the game. There's 19 fans at every Braves game, but they all paid $1 million for their seats.
Oh my God.
All right. On the Patreon last week, we did an episode reacting to the New York Mets losing, honestly, 2 franchise icons, Pete Alonso and Edwin Díaz. The news broke midweek and we were already due a Patreon episode. So we decided to just do like a normal episode of Tipping Pitches, a reaction podcast, put it over on the Patreon. Like I said, we did it. We put the first month of the A-Rod VIP Club tier, which is the access that gets bonus episodes, up for $1. So if you haven't signed up and you're interested in hearing that, or you're interested in checking out anything that's been on the Patreon in the last couple months, we've done a lot of really great stuff over there. Dumbest Things of 2025 expanded. The 21st Century MLB partnerships expanded. A couple Wikipedia episodes, just some good stuff, And if you never went all the way back and listened to Sipping Pitches Part 2, I really just don't think we'll ever top that. Like the cold open of this podcast seems like NPR compared to that. So if that's what you're looking for, as well as like a third share in the mix and Matthew Robertson really spicing it up.
Yeah.
All that stuff is available. If you sign up for 1 month, you get access to everything in the back catalog. So really, like, we're honestly giving it away too easily, if you ask me. But that's just how much we love creating great content.
Exactly.
And changing lives.
And changing lives.
Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Any additional perspective that you've gained on what's going on in Queens since the last time we talked?
Well, so the last time we talked, the Mets had not found Pete Alonso's replacement, which it sounds like they have right now in Jorge Polanco,
who
they signed. My understanding is they signed him to play first base.
He's played one out.
That's
first
right.
Base in
That's
Major
right.
League Baseball.
That's right. Yes, but how hard could it be? Wash.
Tell him wash. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of fake. Honestly, I think they're just going to DH him and find a different solution at defense for first base, or like they will try it for 3 weeks, see whether it's working out, and then make some sort of trade for some defense only first baseman who really can't hit. So kind of like the 2026 James Loney. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks a lot, David Stearns. Really looking forward to it. I think Jorge Polanco's a good player.
I do too.
I thought people were a little bit uncharitable to the signing. This is the most David Stearns shit ever, though. To spend $20 million AAV on a player who is... So, like, Pete is probably a 3-win player at best because his defense is so bad. Polanco is also probably like a 3-win player at best because he has a little more defensive versatility, and he had a really great year at the plate last year. Let's see how many wins he was worth last year.
2.7.
2.6.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. Oh, that was a guess.
Let's go. That was a guess.
Yeah. So, like, similar ceilings. Pete's floor is much higher, and Pete would have been more expensive and for a longer deal. So it's like, it's the sort of thing that I was talking about last week on the Patreon episode where I was like, I don't really want to root for Devin Williams, or at the time, I think I said Robert Suarez, because this was before Suarez had signed with the Braves. I don't want to root for Robert Suarez to be 85% as good as Edwin Díaz for 81% of the cost. But Jorge Polanco is going to be 85% as good as Pete Alonso for 81% of the cost, most likely. Yeah. So, but it's for shorter. So it's really some masterclass David Stern stuff. I haven't really changed my opinion on what's gone on. The dust has settled a little bit, just in terms of how my feelings have netted out. I'm not surprised that Pete is gone. The Edwin thing still stings, still feels pretty bitter, because that feels like that was mismanagement. Felt like they wanted to keep him and they wanted to find a reason for Pete to walk. But for Edwin, it was like, yeah, we'd like to have this guy. You know, David Stearns is actually pretty smart guy. You could say that he's like relatively smug and maybe in a little bit over his head, but I think he realizes the irreplaceability of elite 1-inning guys that are just that much better than the other guy that you could put in for 1 inning. There's no upside to be gained for a closer who's not quite as good because they are being used in such high leverage situations. So you really want the best of the best for those tight spots, especially if you're a team that's competing on the margins to make a tough NL East playoff race. So I think they probably would have liked to have him back, and now they're sort of reeling. Like, now they're sort of moving to plan B when it comes to that. I want to talk about that plan B, though, because that'll transition us into a little bit of the hot stove stuff that I wanted to talk about with you. By most people's accounts, the plan B here is to potentially trade for Mason Miller or Adrian Morejon. from the Padres, or both, or neither, a secret third player from the Padres. I'm going to ask a question. Is that smart? Is that a smart thing to do? To give up a ton of prospect value to get a reliever back? And I ask this full well knowing that trading for a reliever is kind of how Moneyball started, so it's ironic if this is how Moneyball ends.
Mm-hmm. Is it smart? I don't know. I don't have the models in front of me. I'm not going to pretend to. Does it feel? It feels a little forced. It feels like reeling after losing your star closer and maybe not anticipating that you were going to lose your star closer and scrambling a little bit to fill that hole with a somewhat comparable guy, which I don't know if that's the right move. I mean, and not to go back to like, the Mets could have, extended Díaz or anything, or signed Díaz. But it's like, this is a team with infinite money acting like a mid-market club and saying, we'll make the little signing over here. We might make a big splash over here, but like by and large, we're going to be very measured in our approach, right? We're going to be very measured and thoughtful. And we talked about this on the Patreon, right? Not emotional when it comes to these decisions. And I think you have to be okay doing something stupid in service of your goal and it burning you and not working out. I'm not necessarily saying that's a case for them to trade for Mason Miller, because like I said, it feels more reactive than proactive. But I'd like to see them do something stupid this offseason.
This is why it's so hard to judge it at this discrete moment in time, is because if the total outcome is the Mets come out with Devin Williams, Mason Miller, maybe they sign one more reliever, Pete Fairbanks, et cetera, although I think he might be washed. But, let's say that they sign one more reliever. All the consternation and angst over not getting Tyler Rogers, losing Edwin Díaz, not getting Robert Suarez, losing Pete Alonso in succession during the GM meetings is going to feel it's going to sting a lot less. It's particularly the closer position. So like you let Edwin walk, you get back $23 million in average annual value. Let's say you trade for Mason Miller to then be your closer. You either have to give up like one great prospect or a really good prospect and like one or two more good prospects, just normal good.
Yeah. The Padres had to give up the number 3 prospect in baseball to get Mason Miller on their team literally less than 6 months. Actually, I guess like roughly 6 months ago.
Yes. And also it's unclear to me whether or not AJ Preller is a wizard who knows how to make his prospects look like they're top 5 prospects in baseball, but aren't actually that good.
Right.
So the value thing here is a little bit of a black box, but let's just say we're taking it all at face value of what we know in the public for the sake of argument or discussion here on the show. Like, does that mean that you can place the value of a prospect on what you trade for him to replace the guy that you just let walk? So for example, like that means we let Edwin walk, we bring in Mason Miller to fill his slot, and we give up a prospect to get Mason Miller. And maybe our intention was always to sign Devin Williams on top of Edwin. So let's just say, for argument's sake, $23 million in AAV to give up a prospect. Is that like a good market trade? I actually have no idea, and philosophically sort of starts to ask some interesting questions that ironically the Steve Cohen Mets in 2023 were also asking from the other direction. They were giving up Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer and paying some of their money down to get a good prospect in return. So a lot of people were saying functionally this is the equivalent of trading for a prospect for money. And a lot of people were like, well, this is a huge advantage that Cohen can do this. And now they're doing it the other direction. So the ultimate irony coming out of this is like, they're playing in those same waters, but they're on the other side of it.
I don't know, man. I don't get paid to care enough about average annual value or whatever. Like
You
how
don't
much
get paid at all.
I don't get paid at all. I just
You're getting
I don't
paid
know.
at exposure, dude.
I know this is how these guys are thinking about it, which is why we're talking about it. But I just don't care. Like I'm sort of like I don't really care what the surplus value is of this prospect, projecting out the value he's going to bring to the team over the next 6 or 7 years versus the dollar amount you would pay today for I'm like, are you going to win? That's the number I care about.
W's.
Is you playing in November? November, famously the month where most of the playoff games are played.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Are you playing on the last day of the season?
There you go. Which happens in November.
Sometimes. I want to wrap it up in 5, ideally. So let's wrap this thing up in October, boys. I think it's opened a really interesting question for the Mets, which would be a great problem to have. But what would happen if this works perfectly and they actually are a contender and things go really well, but the fan base is a little bit distraught over not having a lot of the guys who have been on the team for the last 5 years that they've developed emotional connections to? Like, what if a bunch of hired guns come in here and they're like, oh, Jorge Polanco hits 30 homers and the Mets make the playoffs and they make a deep run? Like, how much goodwill does just winning buy? Is an interesting question that I think, I don't think we have a great answer to, because most of the time we're just like, yeah, we want to see a good team.
Well, I think there's a, slight corollary in the Rays, right? Who have managed to put together, on balance, good baseball teams year over year over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
At great detriment to loyalty to their players, loyalty to their fans. I'm not going to pretend to speak for them. I don't think it's a very entertaining way to experience baseball year in and year out. Does a World Series change it? If it's not with any of the players I grew up watching, it might ring a little more hollow. I'll still be as obnoxious about it, but I think there will always be a nagging feeling of we should have done it for this guy. We could have done it for Pete. We could have done it for Edwin. He should be here celebrating with us.
Well, he should be the one getting the last out. Is
Exactly.
What I'm most pissed about.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it was on the Patreon episode that I was like, if Stearns is going to be ruthless, then be ruthless.
Yeah.
This sort of half in wishy-washy, I'm a fan, I grew up a fan, I love you guys, I'm always laughing and smiling at the press conference. Like, I'm a little bit out on that. I'm a little bit tired of it. I think people would have been fucking pissed if after 2024 he started trading some of the young guys. But if you were just going to trade Mark Vientos 1 year later, now you're trading him at the nadir of his value. And you also are going to probably do that after letting, 3 very important franchise players and clubhouse presences, despite their politics, leave, And so I think it's like the inconsistency of the philosophy that has bothered me as a fan. And, Gary Cohen had some interesting things to say on SNY after the news about Pete Alonso broke. I don't think that I had seen that, or maybe it hadn't happened yet when we talked about this on Patreon, but he was like, if you've been following the Mets for the last 18 months, you can't be surprised that this is the outcome with Pete specifically. Say what you want about Edwin, whatever, like the mismanagement, or, maybe this is really trying to squeeze dollars per WAR out of this, et cetera, et cetera. But like for Pete, they basically 1 year ago said, we don't want to give you 4 years. Take 3 years or take 1+1 and good luck when you hit free agency next year. Like we'll let you break the home run record, whatever. Like you do you for the next year. Why would they want to do the same thing 1 year later? Nothing about the models, nothing about the advanced numbers would tell you that his aging curve was going to be any different, just because he sort of quelled it, honestly, only for the first half of 2025 when he was excellent. And then for the second half, he was pretty bad. He had one of the worst months of his career midway through this year. And, you can start to see the shape of a player in decline. I think that's why a lot of people were criticizing the deal that the Orioles gave him, which is also another irony of all of this, that the fact that he's signed with the Orioles, he signed with the team that is run by the guy who famously does not want to sign any free agents. This is the one that he opens up the checkbook for. It's an underrated aspect of this whole thing is Mike Elias being the guy to sign Pete Alonso. It's
first real big signing of the Rubenstein era. Is it not?
First real big signing of Mike Elias's career.
Well, that too.
Straight up. He was the guy in the room with the Astros who was like, don't sign any free agents. We don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first big free agent splash is 5 years for Pete Alonso at 31.
I mean, I think it's fine. I'm not mad about it. I do think it's an interesting choice, especially when it's like their whole thing is youth, right? Once a guy turns 30, you might as well take him out back into the parking lot and, you know the rest of the story. You buy him a drink.
Might as well take him to Creative
shake his hand and say thank you for your service. I don't know, man.
Creative Dentistry feels like a euphemism for a mob front.
It's not the first time I've thought that. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Because this is the public feed.
Do you pay in cash when you go to Creative Dentists?
No, he says you're good for it. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
The VIG is just piling up on your fillings. Yeah. I thought it was weird when I had to log into Kalshi at the dentist when I checked in, but they didn't ask me for money at the end, so.
What else is going on the hot stove?
I don't know.
What's cooking? Do you want to talk about the hot stove still?
Yeah, I want to talk about Tarek Skubal.
Okay.
He was definitely getting traded to the Dodgers, but before I do,
I'm Bobby Wagner.
I'm Alex Baisley.
And you're listening to the Mike Francesa Show.
Nicely done. Good bit. Nice work. 7 out of 10. I was listening to Hits Different, which is a Mets podcast hosted by my friend David Sims, alongside Caitlin Tiffany and Ellen Cushing. And they were talking about the hot stove. And I can't remember who, but one of them was like, the hot stove, whatever that analogy is. And I got thinking to myself, God, I feel like I should know what the analogy that they're going for there is. I've been in baseball media technically for like 8 years.
Yeah.
When pressed on it, wouldn't know what to say. What does that mean? The stove is heating up, so you shouldn't touch it. So we're cooking. What is the fucking analogy?
I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about it that much. What comes to mind is like maybe like, yeah, when the stove is hot, right? The fire's burning, you're moving stuff on, you're moving stuff off, you're adding stuff in, it's like can't let the rice burn, got to turn it down to let it steam, take it off the heat. There's a lot of moving pieces, when the stove is hot.
We got some rice.
We got some
what kind of sauce?
Rice. What kind of sauce? I don't know. Maybe like a teriyaki sort of sauce.
Walked you right into it. Dude, I walked you right into it. Do you know how to make a roux?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
More or less, yeah.
I like what you're going for. Like, I like how you're just like sort of saying how to cook on the podcast, but I still don't really understand how that relates to free agency, because if I'm to understand what you mean, you're sort of saying like the analogy here is cooking. Like we're cooking up something here. He's cooking.
I guess there's a lot of just like pieces moving around.
He's in the kitchen chefing it up, the GM. But that's like feels like too modern of an analogy. Like he's chefing, like he's cooking. Like that's such a millennial Gen Z speak.
I don't know that that's exactly what I'm saying. That like
I don't get it then. I don't get how it translates to signing a contract to put a player on your baseball team.
I mean, I think it's possible we're overthinking this. Have you looked up the answer? Do you know like what is there an answer?
No. What would I Google etymology of hot stove and expect Gemini to be able to tell me?
Let's see. Hot Stove. Oh, okay. There you go. Is an off-season baseball talk show that airs on MLB Network. Well, that answers it right there.
God damn it. Hang on, the Angels have made 2 moves. Hold on. Speaking of the hot stove, Alex, it's heating up and it's cooking. Your rice is getting ready to burn with how hot this stove is. That roux is going to start separating if you're not careful. The Angels have signed a 1-year, $4 million deal with Drew Pomerantz, as well as a 1-year, $2 million deal with Jordan Romano. They announced those in back-to-back successively. $6 million whole dollars for Pomerantz and Romano. I don't hate those signings. I don't like them either, but I don't.
Those are
them.
signings that mean absolutely nothing to me.
What kind of dish is that?
Chickpea?
Oh, okay.
Maybe like a chickpeas and beans. Lots of legumes.
Do you cook chickpeas? I don't think I've ever prepared chickpeas.
Every once in a while. I got a nice little chickpea bowl for you.
Oh.
It's with your name on it.
Would you
I'm
like
showing
to
the
prepare
Vimeo
that on
viewers right
Vimeo?
now. Fuck.
The inevitable transition of this show into a cooking show. Can't wait. You're not finding anything, I can tell.
I'm not finding anything right now.
It's because the analogy is untethered. There's no... If someone listening knows, please tell us. typicpitchespod@gmail.com. Better, if someone listening knows like the person who invented it, I'd like to bring them on the podcast and do some real boots on the ground journalism. Maybe Pablo Torre should find this out.
All right. Okay. According to Wikipedia,
Okay. Our true trusted
one true source. It calls up images of fans gathering around a hot stove during the cold winter months, discussing their favorite baseball teams and players.
That's not right.
According to Professor James Hardy, the term hot stove league dates from
Professor James Hardy. Wait, have we verified he's a professor? Because it's you've been spreading too much fake occupational data on the podcast. First, there's creative dentists and EVOO. Like, you're professor of what?
Western civilization. His father got a PhD in physics from
NYU?
Johns Hopkins.
No way!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
19th century small town America, when during the winter people gathered at the general store, post office, sat around an iron pot-bellied stove, and discussed the passing parade. Baseball, along with weather, politics, the police blotter, and churches belonged in that company. Look, you can trust a professor of Western civilization or not. I'm just telling it how it is.
That one sounds a little bit more believable to me.
Once you learn that his father went to Johns Hopkins, yeah.
No, it's just like he's standing around a stove at the general store.
You know the general store.
Yeah, I know what a general store is. It's kind of like bodega before New Yorkers reinvented that term. So they're just like standing around, and people in transatlantic accents are like, listen, see, it's Drew Pomerantz out to the Angels for 1 year, $4 million. And it's a bunch of people huddling around a stove with like tattered winter coats like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. And they're like, the Angels got another one. We'll see if Mike Trout can finally get another at bat in the postseason.
Keep going, please.
1 year, $2 million for the eye-towel, Jordan Romano.
$2 million? I didn't even know that much money existed in the world. I just got this measly 5-cent coin I just keep flipping.
Should I like cut in some sound effects of like glass milk cartons clanging?
Yes, yeah, you should,
other?
and horses clapping, and like trains in the background. Yeah.
Steam engines. Can you compose us some old timey music for it?
Oh my God, I never
Tarek
do this.
Skubal of the Tigers down in Detroit. He's looking to leave old Detroit just like the auto industry will in about 30 years.
A little clairvoyance over here.
I just don't believe that's how hot stove started. I just don't. And now we just accept that? Like, what? Okay, do you want to talk about Tarek Skubal?
Yeah, sure.
This is sort of a tricky one, no? He's in the last year of his team control, and so whoever does try to trade for him, whoever is actively trying to trade for him, is going to have to give up so much that in a year they wouldn't have to give up and they could just try to sign him. Because presumably the team that trades for him is going to try to sign him to an extension that would resemble the one that they would sign him to a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Skubal's a Boris client, though, right?
I believe so.
So I don't know why teams think that just because they trade for a player, Scott Boras is going to be like, I don't want him to hit free agency. Like, he's going to hit free agency. And you could, in theory, have a sort of wink and a nod promise that you're going to have the leg up. But look what happened with Juan Soto. I mean, the Yankees traded for him, assuming they would have the leg up, and then the Mets beat it. The Mets beat the offer. So you'd feel, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't. I don't really understand how teams and front offices operate these days, as evidenced by our hours and hours of discussion of David Stearns' philosophies. But David Stearns' Western civilization philosophy. But I can't identify the president of baseball operations who's like, I want to give up my 5 best prospects for 1 year of Tarek Skubal with no guarantee that I can beat, the Mets in a year, or the Dodgers in a year, or the Yankees in a year.
Right. Unless you are already the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's kind of the only one I can see, though. But even then, why would Friedman do that? They already have every pitcher.
They'll just get him in a year, too.
Exactly. Yeah. They already have every pitcher. And they already are coming off back-to-back World Series. It'd be one thing if they had lost last year or hadn't won one at all. But they don't. There's absolutely zero pressure from the fan base right now.
Oh, of course. Why would there be?
That's what I'm saying.
I know. Well, and there was, I think, talk about Glasnow being a part of that deal, which again, it's like one of these things that
appealing to the Tigers.
How I don't understand how it's appealing to the Tigers. I don't really understand.
I want to take the guy who can't stay healthy, put him in cold weather for 4 months a year, and see if he can stay healthier this time.
Yeah.
In exchange for the best pitcher we've ever had in our franchise.
Literally, yes.
Maybe not ever in our franchise. The Tigers have been around for a while, but you know what I mean.
Well,
also famously,
what, since Verlander?
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
not even the best this century, but you know what I'm saying. Best pitcher in baseball.
Yes.
Tyler Glasnow's a good player. He's a good pitcher, but that doesn't help the Tigers win next year, and it certainly doesn't help the Tigers get any younger, and reset their window.
No. Well, I mean, obviously there would be other players in that, but Glasnow versus Skubal is like a obvious downgrade. Literally any other pitcher is a downgrade from him. And the Tigers ostensibly want to compete in 2026. You're raising your eyebrows.
Pomeranz.
So who's still playing baseball?
I know.
I love it.
He's so cool. Tigers' plan is like, hope Drew Pomeranz fails his physical. Sign him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get Rich Hill in there. Recreate Skubal in the aggregate. Couple wily lefties.
Yeah, Charlie Morton. Why not?
Let's see if Jamie Moyer could come back out here and give us a couple innings. Can I share like a kind of hot take about how the Tigers have handled this situation?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm cold over here. I'm shivering, so give me something to warm up with.
Okay, listen up here. See, it's that the Tigers really thought they were going to be able to keep him. No, I kind of don't really know what the Tigers were supposed to do. Skubal is like, aside from the fact that like they should write him a blank check. Okay, that undergirds all of this. Like I believe they should give him whatever, and then he should stay there. And he is the franchise right now,
mm-hmm.
and I think they should give him that. Just like I think the Pirates should give Skeens that.
Right, of course.
I don't know that he would stay. I don't know Skubal well enough. I mean, I've watched him pitch. I enjoy his presence and I enjoy his aura. I have no idea what his personal priorities are in terms of the long term of his career. I think that it's easy to say like, oh, the Tigers have waited until he only has one more year of team control, and now they've kind of shot themselves in the foot because he doesn't have as much value as if they would have traded him 2 years ago. But would anybody have been happy if they traded him 2 years ago? I mean, look what he's given them over the last 2 years. I'm actually okay with the outcome of most mid-market teams, if you want to call the Tigers that. It's unclear to me how much money they have to operate with, because like the senior Ilitch was much more willing to actually write funny money checks than the current Ilitch is. But like, I think actually the best thing that we can hope for now is to let a player play out his 6 years of team control and like show that much respect to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut that relationship early. And then at that point, make genuinely good faith offers to keep the player around. Like maybe you can't beat the Yankees, maybe you can't beat the Mets, maybe you can't beat the Dodgers, but at least get to that point and throw your hat in the ring. Whereas a lot of teams naturally just bow out 2 years early and trade a player like Juan Soto. Or a lot of teams naturally bow out in that final year of team control and make fake offers to Bryce Harper knowing that he's going to walk for an opponent in division. If they trade him now, I will walk this take back and be like, this was kind of a mistake. But if they let him play out for the rest of the year and then they make him a $300 million offer or a $350 million offer, like I'm kind of okay with it. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like in an ideal world, yeah, he would have signed an extension for $280 million 3 years ago, but he was never going to do that. So
Right. Exactly.
that's the market that we're talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, the Tigers are never going to be able to compete with in the system that is set up right now and the way that owners are incentivized to spend money. Like they're just not going to compete with teams like the Dodgers. So I think in terms of contract value, right? The Dodgers will always be able to come in if they want and say, we'll give you 400. That's fine with us for the best pitcher in baseball. And there's not a lot the Tigers can do about that, except for say, as you're saying, let the guy play. Let the fans have one more year of him and then get a comp pick on the other end.
Comp pick.
I think I would prefer that over them trading him now and trying to cash in on a year left of his value, especially as a team who literally made the playoffs last year. I'm not saying that all of a sudden they are going to make the 3 or 4 additions that are going to get them that ring right as he, goes out the door. But you got to give yourself a fighting chance at the end of the day. Having the best or second best, depending on how you feel about Skeens, like pitcher in baseball, even if he is only going once every 5 days, is like a very meaningful thing to helping your chances on balance throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Not having to worry about it every 5 days is such a gift that frankly most teams don't have.
I think that this idea that a lot of fans have bought into in the last 10 years that if we're not going to be able to keep him, we might as well trade him and get value back is like way more fraught and unpredictable than we've given it credit for in baseball. It's kind of a basketball brained idea where it's like, if I know this guy's going to walk and go to the Lakers in 2 years because his agent literally called me and said this guy's going to walk and go to the Lakers in 2 years, then I should trade him to the Lakers now and get something from the Lakers instead of just letting them sign him in free agency because all the players make the same amount of money. All the max players, all the top players make the same amount of money. It's just a different calculus in that sport than it is in this sport. And I try to compare it selfishly to like, what if the Mets had traded Jacob deGrom because they didn't intend to give him the $185 million contract that the Rangers gave him? It was slightly different because he had signed one extension, and so he was no longer on his team control, and so they weren't trying to debate whether or not they're keeping a young ace at an exorbitant contract versus letting an older player walk at a contract that they don't feel is worth it for that player. But if the Mets traded Jacob deGrom in 2021 at the apex of his value, I would feel some type of way. You don't trade that guy. Like, there's books written about them trading Seaver. Skubal's kind of like a Seaver. Like he's that good right now. And I'm not saying that.
You know what he does? Puts butts in seats.
Correct. Every 5 days, you should be able to sell out that game because Skubal is pitching it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think if they. I don't think that they should be shopping him this way. I mean, maybe the Dodgers are trying to like bowl them over with an offer, but that doesn't really feel very Friedman-esque.
Yeah.
Friedman has traded for starting pitchers in the past, but usually when it was like a quote unquote distressed asset, it's like an older Max Scherzer at the end of his Nationals contract, along with Trey Turner. It's a Tyler Glass now who the Rays are not going to be able to afford to keep, but who has had injury issues, so a lot of other teams mark him as a stay away. Like, I don't know. I say all this and then like in 48 hours, it's going to be like breaking. Dodgers have pulled off a massive blockbuster trade.
Yeah.
It
could be Friedman in his accelerationist era too, right? He's like, next year's going to be the last year of baseball anyway. So like we might as well build a second Death Star,
Live
Why
like you're
not?
dying.
a third Death Star.
The team is so good. I mean, they're just crazy good. It's just a crazy good team.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
It's just every so often. I'm very good, Bobby. I'm very good, but every so often, I'm just like, is it unfair? Do we have to do something about the Dodgers?
It's just a quirk of timing. Like, we would have never said it was unfair when they won 12 straight divisions, but like they were kind of just as good then.
Yeah.
It's just narratively, it was not as neat. The Ohtani signing is just broken. I think in the way that COVID broke the world's brain, I think the Ohtani signing has just broken baseball's collective psyche
Yes. Yeah.
in a way that we're still kind of not really processing. Because he's so good and he could have got more, and it would have been cool to see him on a lot of different teams.
Mhm.
So I think there were a lot of people hoping on him going somewhere else. And we don't need to relitigate the Ohtani signing, but like that is the thing that I think is making it feel unfair.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were better last year than the year before, and they're better this year than they were last year.
Mhm.
And they won the World Series both times. 2
At
years
this
ago.
point, it's a fun
very easily.
experiment. I'm like, how much better can you get?
I mean, I think they could keep going, honestly.
I think they will.
We're the last two people in the world who need to be glazing Andrew
I know,
Friedman
I know.
and Guggenheim, but like they really kind of did it, They won.
They
You
won
could even
baseball.
say the bad guys won.
Keep Scooble. Do you think Andrew Friedman ever feels guilt?
No.
Like, do you think when he
why
gets
should
his-
he shouldn't?
I mean,
Why
I
should
don't
he?
think he should. No. Does he have a burner Twitter? Do we know? Is he on Twitter?
I doubt it. He seems quite well adjusted.
He does seem very well adjusted. Doesn't read the comments. It's probably for the best.
You know who does read the comments? Your boy,
Dave Roberts.
Eric Chavez.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Defend that. That's your man.
Yeah, I know. I don't actually know what you're talking about, so
He just posts hourly Instagram stories shitting on the Mets for firing him.
hell yeah.
He's always posting like, this clubhouse was screwed because the organization doesn't know what they're doing. He's like a weird guy.
Post through it, my guy.
He's big time posting through it.
Mhm.
I haven't seen someone posting through it like this in years. I have a theory that all the weird stories about the Mets process and like, after the Alonso signing broke and there was a story that was like the Mets are going to try Jeff McNeil at first and then they're going to sign like, I don't know, Paul Goldschmidt or something like that. That story broke. I have a theory that was just Eric Chavez calling up reporters being like, this is what they're going to do to like make them seem stupid because he's mad at them for firing him. He's just planting stories like Sean Spicer.
Sean Spicer.
Sorry, I saw recently that he has a Substack.
I think that's your only Substack subscription, right?
Sean Spicer.
Yeah.
Well, now that my Paramount Plus subscription gets me access to all the CBS articles, so I can get Bari's content over there. I don't need to
All right,
subscribe to
all right.
anything else on Substack. What were your thoughts about the Erica Kirk town hall?
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
There's actually a lot that I still want to talk about.
I know.
One more thing on the hot stove. I know that it seems like the Dodgers are probably going to get Scooble, but I wouldn't count out one other team, and that's the Pirates. I've been hearing, it's my understanding, Alex, that the Pirates have a decent shot of linking up Scooble and Skeens, getting them together. The two most recent Cy Young Award winners. Has that ever happened? Well, the Pirates are interested in finding out if it's possible and what it would do to their chances to win the NL Central. And so I would say Dodgers probably the favorite right now. Right behind them, hot on their tail, is the Jerry DiPoto's Mariners.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Now that they freed up some of that Polanco money. And then third would probably be the Pirates.
Yeah.
I could see it happening. Really, anything can happen on the hot stove.
Well, they've been aggressive for sure this offseason.
Correct.
The Pirates, I mean.
They're trying to really compete in a weakened NL Central. And I feel good about their chances.
I think they have a chance of running away with it.
Yeah.
If they keep this up. I mean, if they keep this up, they're going to sign someone.
It's like, well, they already signed a couple people, dude. Gregory Soto.
Oh, that's fuck. I forgot about Gregory Soto.
They got Soto. The Pirates got Soto. Bob Nutting was just waiting in the wings. He was sitting back, biding his time, patiently, like an apex predator, waiting for one moment of weakness. And then he pressed go, and it's go time now for the Pirates. I'm scared of what might happen.
The people on X the Everything app are loving this bit, by the way.
What bit are you talking about?
Sorry, that's not a bit. It is general. Well, I feel like what you're tweeting out is your understanding of the situation.
My sourced understanding.
Your sourced understanding. Yeah.
I have a source with the Pirates on their advanced scouting team who has a direct line both to Sherrington and Nutting. And my source is like, they were really close on Schwarber.
Yeah.
Really close.
Really close.
They're ahead on Bellinger, too. Think about the possibilities. You got Brian Reynolds out there already. They gave him that extension. Put Bellinger out there with him.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 73 wins.
I mean, if you think of everyone they've gone after this year, that's a winning ball club right there.
Right. My understanding is that they were in on most of those guys. Wait, can I quickly say, for anyone who's a Pirates fan who's listening, I'm really sorry that it's your team that I'm doing this for, because I could easily do it for 4 or 5 other teams. Easily. And it would be just as plausible to do all this stuff. It's just because Ken Rosenthal wrote a story 3 weeks ago that the Pirates were really
right. It really has more to do with Ken Rosenthal.
It does really have more to do with Ken Rosenthal. And Passan put it in one of his sort of off-season recaps, off-season previews, hot stove previews that he wrote a few weeks ago on ESPN Plus, which I know that you have a couple of different subscriptions to, just so that you can really give them those impressions and subscriber numbers. I saw those stories and I was like, we're doing this? We're doing this. We're doing this, really. We're really believing that the Pirates might try to sign Kyle Schwarber, a guy who was literally never going to leave the Phillies. Never. The Phillies gave this dude $150 million. He's a 32-year-old DH. The Phillies were like, he's not leaving. And the thinking was that the Pirates were going to beat that, entice him to leave the place that he wanted to stay by paying him more than $150 million. It's like straight up some of the dumbest things I've ever seen from a national report. Like, it is legitimately some of the stupidest stuff, the most keys jingling in front of your face.
Yes. Yeah.
I could possibly draw up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is not so dissimilar from what we saw John Fisher and the A's do. John Fisher and A's do not 1 year ago. Right. And it's a slightly different.
Fucking signed some of these
but they
guys
actually fucking signed someone.
They were
I know.
have a grievance if they did it.
I know. Exactly. I don't think we need to be so breathlessly credulous about these sorts of things.
I'll put my reputation out on the line. The Pirates are not going to sign any of these guys. Period. It's not happening. They are not going to spend more than $12 million AAV on a player in this offseason. It's not going to happen. And you are a sap if you think it is going to happen.
Well, they just, again, looking at the context of their team, they would have to overpay on these contracts to pry them away from the places these players actually want to play.
And they'd have to do it multiple times for multiple guys to make an appreciable impact on the team getting better, because they've been actively trying to lose for a really long time.
Right. Only signing one of these guys doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't. It's sure you can go to national reporters and see, hey, look, we're trying. You can go to the MLBPA and say, hey, look, we're trying. You really only do that if you are trying to avoid a grievance or actually trying to make your team better. And if the Pirates are giving themselves, I don't know, $40 million to spend this offseason, which I'm not sure I even believe, you get to sign one guy. You get to sign one big guy. And then what was the point? Now you just have Paul. I guess. You get a couple Jorge Polancos.
I'm not trying to kick Pirates fans while they're down. Like, I'm really not. And the farm system is ranked 4th overall by Kylie McDaniel, your guy in ESPN. And this would be the right time in theory to get your Jason Worth, to make the Nats analogy, when they were like, we're just going to overpay for Jason Worth because we think this guy is a good hitter and also is going to be a good influence on all of our young players coming up. And Kyle Schwarber would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
But you actually have to overpay. Like, you actually have to do it, you know? And then they didn't do it.
Not yet.
The Learners are orders of magnitude a better ownership group than Bob Nutting. It's not even close.
Hot
And the
stove
Learners
isn't
have
over.
their flaws.
Hot stove season isn't over, Bobby.
Who's left? Who's left?
I literally don't know.
Who are the Pirates going to sign? We're going to be like, that's, ooh. I mean, oh. They did it. Okay. Let's move to these last couple stories here. Unless you have anything else to say about the hot stove. Do you want to do transatlantic accent one more time?
No, I really don't. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'm never going to get out of it.
I feel like Austin Butler after he was Elvis.
Why are you talking like that? I did a bit on my podcast a week ago.
Twins first? Twins first or minor league technologies first?
I guess Twins.
If you didn't see, this comes from Dan Hayes, who is the Athletics beat reporter for the Minnesota Twins. He reported today that the ownership group, the Pohlad family, sold a, quote, significant amount of the team without surrendering ownership control in a deal that reduces the $500 million debt and potentially sets up an easier sale down the road. Keen listeners will recall that it appeared that the Twins were for sale this past season, and then they did not get sold. The Pohlads were like, we explored it, and then we decided we're actually the best steward for this team. Funny how that works. But they had, up until today, I guess, significant problems with the amount of debt that they had accrued running the team over the last however many years. Got to extract that profit somehow, so we'll pour all the debt into the team as we build a new stadium, as we try to sign Carlos Correa, as we, try to make a winning product. Let's just keep amassing debt. And that number got up into the $500 million range, which, by the way, like, the CBA is like, you can't do that. You can't have that much debt compared to your revenue. But Manfred makes exceptions. But it seemed like the Pohlad family had sort of worn out their welcome with the commissioner's office in terms of just being able to take free money from them. And so they were exploring a sale. And then now eventually they decided to sell part of the team to bring some of that debt down, which will make the asset more appealing in the long term if you are going to sell the team in the future. And the person who comes on as a partial owner right now, all they have to do is have the money to cover some of the debt for you, and then they get to make a tidy little profit in an almost venture capital sort of way, private equity playbook. Just giving a little money now, making a slight profit on it 5 years from now when the team sells. I find this to be a pretty funny outcome of all of this.
Say more. You're laughing? The Twins had to sell off a 20% ownership stake to get out of a $500 million hole, and you're laughing?
Well, it kind of kneecaps any argument that the owners could make next year in the course of a lockout. The Twins, the team that just traded away the most players in MLB history on deadline day. The team that is like, you see the direction towards winning, we're going the other way. We'd like to go as fast in reverse as possible. Please. Somebody give us a lot of prospects for Joe Ryan. We want to trade all the players that you like, who anyone is willing to take. That team was able to sell off 20% of the team to service their debt, to get out of a hole, to make a big ass profit in 5 years when they decide that they want to sell the team, to retain ownership stake of the team, whatever you want to do with it.
Right. Without any path to ownership to like full control for these new minority partners. Purely an investment play.
So just literally straight up money out there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So why did we?
They said, "Yeah, we'll take on your debt." because we looked at the sport and said, you guys are doing pretty well.
I hear David Ellison has some extra money. If anyone else needs to.
Stop. Don't even joke.
Don't even joke about what. You'd love if Larry Ellison bought the fucking A's. You'd love that.
I mean, I completely agree. This is a very clear indicator of the economic health of the sport, despite claims otherwise. I recognize that some of this is probably hedging for a TV deal, a consolidation of media rights in 2028, which my understanding is that will also bring added value to franchise values across the board, and team owners are going to want to address franchise values in the CBA too, and see what knobs can we tweak to improve that. So, look, I think this is okay. We don't know who the investors are yet. There was reporting that maybe it was this like Minnesota-based, I don't know, some sort of equity, private equity, money. It's all the same. Whatever. Some local group of guys with a lot of money.
Are we sure it's not A-Rod?
And then the Twins. And then the Twins rebuked that and said, "No, that's not true, but you'll find out soon." Which made me think, I think that might be true.
What if the Twins were like, it wasn't these guys, but it was the Saudi Royal Wealth Fund?
We did bingo.
That's so true.
It's again also not coincidental that, like you said, they've cut payroll now twice in the last 2 years. And yet, the team still looks incredibly attractive enough for outside investors to take on this debt. And ostensibly, I know the poll ads are saying getting out from under this debt is going to mean we're going to be able to reinvest back in the team finally.
The poll ads are like, they're like going to payday loan places and be like, finally, I can buy a new pair of sneakers.
Literally, yes. Yeah. But it is a lot of like whiplash and sort of financial wizardry that I don't really think fans care about. That sounds like a you problem.
Yep. What were you able to do because you took on that debt? Like in your personal life, what did you buy because you didn't have to put poll ad money into the team to cover XYZ expense to build Target Field? Like,
yeah, and they've said that it's there's a confluence of factors, the debt. It's like the COVID attendance drop, right? It's COVID.
Yeah.
They paid their minor leaguers and staff during that year, which I'll give them kudos to that, but you also the world's tiniest violin. Exactly.
Yeah, the video viewers can see me playing
exactly
the world's tiniest violin.
And then famously their RSN was one of the ones that went under. And so they had to recontract with the league at lower rates or whatever. All of this sounds like the cost of doing business to me.
Dead ass. All of it sounds like you're not that good at being an owner.
Straight up. How are your conditions that different from the 29 other teams?
Play better.
Mm-hmm. Literally. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm against private equity minority partners coming into the sport because they get a voice in the room in a place where I don't think they belong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that even though the poll ads have final say, they just clearly have a lot less leeway to be like, I want to sign this player. We've earmarked this much money for this player. You don't get tens of millions of dollars of investment to help cover your debt, to help service your debt from a group of people who want to be completely silent partners who have no say in how anything works. They want their profit. Like they want, in 5 years, they want to be set up to turn some sort of profit on this. They work on short timelines in private equity, in venture capital. They're not here to see more Twins fans minted for the next 20 years. They don't give a shit about that. So I think generally that's the alarm bell that this raises. But my takeaway, like my macroeconomic takeaway from this is like distressed assets should be things that people want to come in and buy full ownership for because the price is low. And that's not what this is.
Right.
This is a distressed asset who you brought in a minority partner who's like, this actually isn't that distressed of an asset.
Right. I was just about to say that suggests to me that it is not so distressed as you are saying.
Not distressed at all. And then the question I'm left asking myself is it even possible to have an MLB team that's a distressed asset? I mean, truly, if you compare what's going on with the Twins now to what was going on with them in 2002 when they almost fucking contracted, or if you compare it to what was going on with the Marlins in the early 2000s, or even the 2010s, or if you compare it to what happened with the Expos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these were genuinely distressed assets, and they were bought for
or the Dodgers.
Right, yeah, with the Dodgers with bankruptcy court, but that was a fluke. You know, that was like that was the McCourts.
Right, the Pulleds are not bankrupt.
But if they have to re-sign Joe Ryan, they will be. So be careful.
Shit,
I
forgot about that. Yeah, I hear there's some interest though from a team that plays just off the Allegheny.
Oh, in acquiring Joe Ryan or in acquiring the entire Twins organization? We sort of just merge these two teams together. We make a mega team.
That's good. Mega team.
The Twirits.
Right.
No, we're gonna have to work on that.
The Minnesitsburg.
Wait, why does Minnesota get to go first in the name?
The
Pirates
true.
are buying the Twins.
It's a reverse merger, you know.
Oh, reverse merger, like Waystar Royco.
Right.
Bob Nutting raining cash on the Pollad's head. Okay, last story. Speaking of raining cash on poor organizations, the Eno Saris wrote a story in The Athletic about MLB deciding to regulate the use of technology, advanced technology, which is quite expensive in the minor leagues. Things like Edgertronic cameras, things like Kinetrax, things like TrackMan, things like Hawkeye. These are all the names of a bunch of essentially like fancy cameras that have captured a lot more data and information about things like spin rate, swing speed, all these things that have come into the lexicon of baseball and baseball development. This is a lot of what Ben Lindbergh's book MVP Machine is about. It's like the proliferation of these technologies at the minor league player development level. I think like really interestingly, and I don't know, it might be worth asking Eno if he wants to come on the podcast and talk about this in the future. MLB has decided to ban organizations from individually choosing which of these technologies they use and instead provide the technology for them. So the commissioner's office is like, we will pay for this, but everyone has to use the same stuff. And so in theory, they're sanding down the advantage that a wealthier team could have to just splash a bunch of cash on player development technology at the minor league level so that advantages that an organization like the Dodgers have over an organization like the Rockies, I'll just use two NL West teams, for example, of the team that does the most of this shit versus the team that does the least of this shit, are evened out. You know, that if you bring relatively smart people to each front office, they'll be able to use the same amount of data in similar ways, and it'll just be a lot more even. I think this is mostly a cost-cutting measure. I don't know. What did you think when you saw this story? Because it kind of came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere. And my initial reaction, I think, was not negative necessarily. There is a part of me that enjoys the concept of 30 organizations acting on the same competitive level, at least with respect to information gathering, right? And you have to find your edge elsewhere, right? And if you want to reallocate, you know, the money you're saving towards scouting, I'm not optimistic, right? But if you sort of,
what if you want to reallocate it towards another formaldehyde frozen shark?
Also an option. Also an option.
It's on the table.
Reallocate it towards the $500 million in debt you have. I don't know. You have options. That's the point. A
casino.
I think that I would be interested if I thought that maybe teams were going to funnel those resources into other more creative ways. I don't anticipate that necessarily happening.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers might still, but I think a lot of mid to upper market teams that have maybe invested in this gear will just say, well, now we don't need to spend on that anymore. The league just saved us money. And that, I think, is like probably a net negative. There's also a lot of teams now who are going to be left with questions of like, what the fuck do I do with this gear that I outfitted my ballpark with?
They could donate it to charity. They could donate it to a little league team in their local community. Like Timmy has a 6 spin rate on his slurve.
But I think ultimately where I come down is like it's.
Sorry, we call it a sweeper now. I apologize.
That's right. Of course. It's trying to address competition. Like it brought a knife to a gunfight.
Yes.
You know, like
it's trying to address a symptom, not the root of the.
That
illness.
is not the real issue here with imbalances between big market and small market teams. And I think that's ultimately where I land on this is like they're trying to smooth the competitive landscape, but the rot runs so much deeper than that.
Would you say it's an institutional problem?
I might say it's even systemic.
Ooh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
Much to consider here.
But that's just my understanding of the situation.
You're killing me with this one. I really like this joke. Can I give you 3 increasingly galaxy brain reads on this?
Absolutely.
Power brokers within MLB were tired of getting pantsed by the Rays. They were tired of losing out on the edge from a team that had figured this stuff out and continued to figure this stuff out 5 years in advance. And they were a little bit burnt out from the fact that there started to be a diaspora from the Rays organization to big market teams. And they were like, hang on, wait, this is actually an unfair advantage. That's the first thing that I believe. My second read on the situation, maybe this is actually good from a labor perspective. Because player by player, let's talk about it. If I get drafted to the Rockies, I'm fucked. If I get the same player who gets drafted to the Dodgers, I have a significantly better chance of turning into an MLB player who earns life-changing amount of money at the major league level. That's just unfair. Like, that's just a bad labor situation. And so I think any increase to the floor of standards at the minor league level is probably broadly macro-wise a good thing from a 30,000-foot perspective. I think there's something to be said about what the competitive advantages are and whether we're trying to like squash down the top at the same time, you know, like the salary cap versus salary floor conversation. But broadly speaking, I think this helps more players than it hurts. You know, on the whole, there's probably like 13 teams who are going to have better technology, and there's probably like 4 teams who are going to have worse, and then, you know, 16 teams in the middle, or 13 teams rather in the middle, who like have the same amount of technology, you know, like it's a bell curve basically. So I think in the aggregate, this helps more players probably get better advice and better data and better development, which I think is a good thing. The flip side of that coin, which is the third galaxy brain take on this, is this is a sort of sinister backdoor way to level the playing field to prevent from rolling out a salary cap and still having the Dodgers develop way better players than everybody because they spend more money on technology. Because the thing that you hear when you're like, the argument that we have trotted out here is like, if you put a salary cap on the Dodgers, it wouldn't matter because they'd still develop players better than everybody else. So like they'd be able to spend right up to the salary cap and their young players would still be better than the Rockies players and you know, the Mets players and all these other players. Like, but that feels like really 3-dimensional chess, you know. But I wouldn't put it past
most chess is.
I wouldn't put it
3-dimensional.
Oh, 4. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, that feels very 4-dimensional chess.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past them though to look at, you know, the competitive landscape and say, what are all the things we want to achieve, and can we get buy-in on these sorts of things, and can we sneak these things in without spending too much political capital before the whole picture becomes clear? Because this is the kind of thing that you would want to do if you had a salary cap. You would want to say like, okay, don't take the $50 million that the Dodgers would have spent towards players and apply it towards minor league development, because that still creates an unfair advantage between the Dodgers and the Pirates. However, as it stands now, if all the teams have to spend the same amount of money on minor league development, and we're trying to even that playing field, don't you think this just gives more of an advantage to the big market teams to just pay for free agents now? It's like, all right, well, we didn't develop as many good minor leaguers because we didn't have this big advantage against everyone else. Like, let's just sign Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, I mean, it is really interesting because it's like it's not necessarily limiting what you can spend on pure development, right? It's like specifically that data and technology aspect of it, right? So whatever you can eke out of that camera that's in your ballpark is great. You might see something different, but the team just down the road is going to have the exact same one, right? So again, I think it would behoove teams to then invest in non-tech, non-data solutions like more robust scouts or more investment in coaching staffs or investments in trainers and nutritionists or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Actually finding like a human edge. I don't think that was the intent, and I don't think that'll be the outcome. Okay, so I'm not sure why I'm mentioning it, but it's a nice thought.
I like that. That's a nice thought to end on, is you optimistically being like, they're going to get better food now.
Yeah, right?
And I know that, the minor league CBA sort of created universal standards for things like nutritionists and food standards of living and that sort of thing at the minor league level. But even still, like, there is a market inefficiency for treating minor leaguers like extremely well rather than just baseline what you are legally required to treat them as.
And it's worth noting that like this sort of balanced playing field exists in the majors already, right? This is how MLB treats teams. It says, I mean, I think teams, there's probably some variances on what like wearables tech they use, but like teams have the same cameras in their ballparks, right? They are getting the same data from the same systems. And then it's up to them on how they integrate.
What kind of wearable tech are you using these days?
I have an Oura ring on every finger, actually.
Just to see what kind of different data you get.
Right. Well, I'm just like, in case one fails, I want to make sure Peter Thiel and his and Palantir get the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to get that data to the Army somehow.
Exactly. It's
not going to ship itself. Yeah. I like to think in some ways I'm sort of setting the standard, the biological standard for the average Army infantryman.
What?
They're training them on my data, I see
what you're saying. That's true. They are.
Without me, do we even have an army? I pay taxes and they use my biological data.
They're like, what? They're like, I don't know why, but I guess your heart rate is supposed to spike between 1 and 3 p.m. on Sundays and then every other week on Wednesday evenings.
Like, it's really weird. The ideal American biometric data is really dependent on the Mets win-loss record. See, let's see. Picture of health for most of 2022, and then in October it falls off a cliff. This is a really high concept bit that we're doing.
I really like it, though. I get
it. You get it. Well, congratulations. And if you liked that high concept bit and you want more of them, you head over to patreon.com/tippingpitches, where for the next 2 days, I think, you can sign up for our top tier at just $1 for the first month. $1. $1 whole dollar. That's it.
Just $1?
Just $1.
We're only taking pennies, though, actually.
You have to mail them.
Right. I'm trying to collect them all before they go out of circulation.
But didn't they stop making more of them? It's over now, right?
Yeah, it's over. So that's why I'm trying to get them all.
I'm pretty upset that you waited till this long.
It's like Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
Gotta catch them all. Yeah, it's right.
I don't know who invented Pokemon Go.
Ending this podcast as strong as we started it.
I still think that was Hillary's funniest moment.
Yeah,
I think that was like genuinely funny.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wrote that line cooked pretty hard.
Yeah, they did.
There's a non-zero chance that the person who wrote that line listens to this podcast, if we're being honest. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Tipping Pitches. We have to get back to our normal recording schedule, or else every episode's going to be like this. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Good luck to the Pirates trying to acquire Tarek Skubal and to everyone else trying to keep up with Bob Nutting. We will talk to you in 1 week's time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping Pitches.
Tipping Pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping Pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!